Hello guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be showing you how I made this maxi skirt with an off-shoulder puff sleeve crop top. So if you're interested in how I achieved this look, please stay tuned. Alright guys, let's get started. For the top, I'll be using a yard of the same lightweight cotton knit flower print fabric that I used in my previous tutorial. I'll be using some elastic, and I'll also be using this loose fitting t-shirt to trace for the pattern. To crop the top, I fold the top of the shirt in along the bottom edge of the front neckline. From that same point of the neckline, I measure down where I want the bottom to crop around my waistline, which for me was about 10 inches down. I fold the shirt in half at that 10-inch point. I also make sure to pin the sleeve on the fold at the top of the shirt. I fold the shirt in half vertically, then I trace down along the fold. At the top of the shirt, I measure 5 inches across, then line the fold of the shirt at that 5-inch point. I continue tracing across the top. I use the seam ripper to poke through the arm seam to indicate onto my craft paper, then I continue tracing around the shirt. I take the sleeve and lay that flat onto the craft paper. With the pin still in place, I trace straight across the top of the sleeve at that point. Again, I use my seam ripper to poke through the arm seam to indicate onto the craft paper. On the straight edge of the sleeve, I trace down using the measurement of the length of my arm, starting 3 inches down from my shoulder to my wrist, which for me was 19 inches. From that point, I trace across 9 inches, which is the measurement around my wrist, plus 3 inches. Then I trace on a diagonal starting from the underarm point to the end of the 9-inch point. Here's the pattern for the front and back top pieces, with the 1-inch seam allowance at the top and bottom, and a 1/2-inch seam allowance along the side and the armhole. I cut twice onto fabric on the fold. For the sleeve pattern, I also add a 1-inch seam allowance at the top and bottom, and a 1/2-inch seam allowance along the side and the armhole. I cut twice along the fold onto the fabric. I take the front and back piece and line them together, right side spacing in, and sew down the sides with a straight stitch. I also take both sleeves and fold them over, lining the raw ends together, right sides facing in. Then I sew the raw ends together with a straight stitch. After sewing all that together, I take the top and the sleeves and turn them right side out. Then I line and pin the side seam at the center of the armhole and the seam of the sleeve together. I continue pinning together on both sides. Then I sew along the curve with a straight stitch. Here's the top with the sleeves attached. And now I'll make the casing for the elastic along the top, the bottom, and the bottom of the sleeves. To do that, I fold over 1 inch in towards the inside of the shirt. Then I sew along the edge all the way around, leaving a 1-inch opening. I do the same along the bottom of the shirt and the sleeve. After preparing the casings, I cut my elastic for the top, bottom, and for the sleeves. To measure the elastic, I just wrap enough around my shoulders, the smallest part of my waist, and my wrist to where they fit tight and comfortable to my liking. Next, I take a safety pin and attach it to one end of the elastic. I insert the safety pin and the elastic into the 1-inch opening and continue to push and pull through to the other side of the opening. When I get to the other side of the opening, I pull the elastic through and remove the safety pin. I overlap the ends of the elastic a 1/2 inch onto each other and sew them together with a zigzag stitch. After sewing the elastic together, I distribute it evenly throughout the casing. Then I find the 1-inch opening and sew it closed with a straight stitch. I do the same for the bottom of the shirt and the sleeves as well. Here's the shirt with the elastic inserted into the top, bottom, and sleeve casings. When that's done, I set the top to the side. Moving on to the skirt, I have 2 yards of the same flower print fabric, folded in half with the cut ends lined together, right sides facing in. I decided I wanted a split skirt, so I used my measuring tape to measure down 20 inches and pin at that point. Then I sew down starting from the top of the skirt to the 20-inch point with a straight stitch. After sewing the side together, I turn the skirt right side out. Then I take the raw edges along both sides of the split and fold a 1/2 inch in to hem and sew down with a straight stitch. Here's both sides of the split after they've been hemmed. Now I'll make the casing for the elastic at the top of the skirt. For the skirt, I used a thicker size elastic at 3/4 of an inch wide. To measure the elastic, I wrap enough around the smallest part of my waist where it fits tightly and comfortable enough to my liking. For the casing, I fold in 1 inch and sew along the edge of that fold around the top of the skirt. After sewing around, I make sure to leave a 1-inch opening. I take a safety pin and attach it to one end of the elastic. I insert the safety pin and the elastic into the opening, then I push and pull through till I get to the other side of the opening. When I get to the other side, I pull the elastic through and remove the safety pin. Then I overlap the ends of the elastic a 1/2 inch onto each other and sew together with a zigzag stitch. After attaching the elastic, I distribute it evenly throughout the casing. Then I sew the 1-inch opening closed with a straight stitch. Here's the skirt with the waistband fully installed. Again, here's the hem split, and I also hemmed the bottom of the skirt as well. Now the skirt and the top are finished and the set is complete. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when there's a new upload. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!